It's Monday the 16th of October, and so in a cruel and sad world, there has been a little bit of good news for Bitcoin regarding the spot ETF application. So the SEC have decided they will not appeal the decision of the court from August, where it rejected them knocking down Grayscale's application to become an ETF, and told the federal agency to treat all cases alike, and they called their rejection arbitrary and capricious. So, market has now decided, and I think it does potentially make it much more likely that the SEC will approve, or will have to approve, a Bitcoin spot ETF sometime in the future. However, the market has got very excited. I am more worried at the moment, rather than anything else. I'm more worried that by the time it happens, this will all be priced in. And, if we remember back to when everybody was excited about Bitcoin futures, and by the time it happened, it was all priced in. And the only thing that happened is we started a bear market and Bitcoin was sold. We could see the same with this. So let's take a look at Grayscale as well this morning, because Grayscale first applied to convert its fund into an ETF in 2021, and since then the shares in the fund have been trading at a discount relative to the amount of Bitcoin that it holds. Now, each time there's a rejection, this has gone really down. At some point, this has been trading at 50% discount relative to the value of all the Bitcoins it holds. At the moment, prior to Friday, it popped up to 15%. I'm quite interested to see what Bitcoin does, because I said before, potentially this is quite a nice trade if it gets approved, because we will see this should end up equal. So, we should see a nice rally in this Grayscale GBTC shares, which I think potentially are a good trade. But if we look at where we are with GBTC, we are still much like Bitcoin spot, trading underneath the weekly 200 moving average, and potentially looking at a three-wave correction. I think if we can break out from this consolidation today with this news, at the moment we've got a little third touch for false breakout, but if we can break out from this consolidation, a potential bull flag, and hold above this 200 moving average, then I think we should continue from here to 23.88, and potentially in a fifth wave we can come all the way up to 28. So potentially quite a nice trade if that happens. I, though, still think that the SEC are not gonna give in lightly, especially if they're being directed by the government. So we just need to be aware of irrational exuberance and false breakouts on this news. There's a lot of other stuff going on in the world that could tank the Bitcoin price. Not least at the moment is bonds. There was quite a nice rally in bonds last week, but the US government still have a lot of debt to sell. And if we get wars and nasty stuff in the rest of the world, it could be that a lot of those usual buyers of government bonds, like China and Saudi Arabia and everywhere else, if they stop buying them, then laws of supply and demand say that the price of those bonds will drop and the yields will go up, which is inflationary. And whenever that has happened before, that hasn't been very good for the Bitcoin price. So let's talk about where we are with Bitcoin, because we have had quite a nice rally. I'm going to start. One of the most important things, I think, lesson of this weekend for me is how you really don't want to be trading on a weekend. And here's why. This news, let's look at spot Bitcoin. This news came out on an hourly chart. So this news came out on Friday night. And Bitcoin rallied a little, but really still stayed in this kind of sideways range. If we look at the rally that we had on Friday night, this is where it got us to. And then over the weekend, nothing. The momentum and the liquidity and the strong move came when the futures market opened on Sunday night. And this is all to do with the Operation Choke Point, and for the bigger trading firms and investors, they can't get in. So our breakout has kind of, from this, if we call this as a declining channel, our breakout really didn't happen over the weekend. It happened on Sunday night. So I think it's all right to take longer swing positions, or maybe take advantage of a little bit of a discount over the weekend. But if you're actively short-term trading, the weekend isn't the time to be doing it. Now, Sunday night, though, you kind of want to be there watching to see what happens. Now, potentially, when we look at this, especially if we look at it on a daily, we're still underneath the weekly 200 moving average, which is so important for Bitcoin. You can see previously how this daily 200 moving average and this weekly 200 moving average particularly have been such important support and resistance. So far, yes, this is a really nice bounce, but I'm always really cautious of big moves Sunday night, Asian trading, Monday morning. They can very often get reversed later in the week, so we need to be very careful. And for me, I really want to see it holding above this weekly 200 moving average, and then I am going to be buying, because I do think we have, really nice more upside. Until, though, we do that and we continue higher, we're still at risk that this is just a three-wave correction, and we still have more downside to come. Let's talk about short-term what's going on here, because I posted a chart because my scenario was we were going to see one more push lower here on the hourly before we made a bottom and we were on our way up again. Now, if we look at the rally we made since the 11th of September low here, which now looks like a three-wave correction, sometimes when these three-wave corrections don't work or the pattern doesn't work, it's because this is a wave 1, this is a wave 2, and this is wave 1 of 3 rather than a C leg. And so this low becomes important in telling us, what actually happened here, doesn't it? So as long as we stay above this 26,000 level, yeah, we could see the next swing be really strong upside movement in a wave 3 of 3, and Bitcoin has bottomed. So at this point, I'm going to say, yeah, if we stay above 26,000, it likely is we have bottomed, and we are going to see really strong upside movement. If we, however, trade underneath this level, it makes this more likely that this is just a three-wave correction and we haven't quite bottomed yet. So, interesting times and really interesting levels. And I think how we close today as well, if we can get above the daily 200 and the weekly 200 moving average, then we have got more upside. Let's take a look at the futures, which is where all of this momentum came from, and the levels I'm looking at in the futures. If I put my fibs on from the November 20 fib retrace levels from the November 22nd low, you can see that for me, I know I said a lot, but fibs are like a step ladder and they become support, but when you get underneath these levels, they become resistance. So we have dropped down, bouncing, I've got this the wrong way around, haven't I? So I'm going to put my fib levels on from this low to this high. We're bouncing from a 38.2, and therefore the back test of this 236 fib level at 28,095 in the futures is really, really important. We need to hold above. That would confirm the bottom or more upside. And if we do that, then I think potentially, the worst scenario then for bearish people would be this becomes a big head and shoulders pattern, wouldn't it? So this is our left shoulder, and then really we don't want to see a right shoulder. The problem with big three-wave corrections is sometimes they can turn into bigger three-wave corrections. Now at the moment, I think that we had a rally, and this is our three-wave correction here like this. And we're about to go up again. But it is possible that it fails and it fails as a head and shoulders pattern, and we see a bigger pullback before we get our bottom and go up again. So, you know, we're never quite out of the woods until we actually break out. But one of the good news is whenever you get moving averages all bunched up together like this, and you get a breakout from this consolidation, you usually get a really nice explosive move like we did here. Very nice explosive move. And you know, we got it here when we had this kind of consolidation here like this, and all they bunched up. We had a really nasty move lower. This time, of course, I'm hoping, having been off the lows, that this next move is higher. But we do need to kind of watch out for those scenarios. If this ends up just being a bigger equal measure move. So when, therefore, if we break out in these futures and hold above 28,000, the next upside target is really 30,600, which would then be that bigger equal measured move level from the low. So I'm quite optimistic. Let's talk about short term, where we would be, if you wanted to buy somewhere, you would be kind of looking to get in. Well, as I said before, my strategy this week has been, because I think we're very close to a bottom, I've been buying every kind of 4-hour pullback scenario. So I really do need kind of this to reset and a lower high, and watch for it to turn up again, and that's what I'm watching for, and I'll let you know when I see it. So yes, this is very good. Now sometimes the market just, you know, doesn't give you that little pullback entry. It'll break out, and then you need the shorter time frame pullback entry, and you kind of need to be looking for 3 waves. But yeah, 30,000, 30,600, and a retest to the highs would be next. But I think potentially this next move could be quite strong. I kind of don't want that to happen. I really don't want this whole ETF thing to be completely priced in by the time it happens. Because I think that could set up a nastier, bigger pullback. But I don't know, anyway, upside is always good. So just watch out for these bonds. Let's see if we can break out and hold above 28,100 in the futures, and in spot Bitcoin it's 28,000. The level of that weekly 200 moving average, sorry, daily 200 moving average is 28,000 and change, and the weekly is 28,200. So really we've got to close and hold above those levels for more upside. I think it could happen, but you know, we still don't know when this ETF will be approved, and I'm not sure if it's all priced in how bullish it's going to be when it happens. So let's just be a little bit careful. Now there are some other charts that I quite like that are quite bullish. Look at the lovely daily pullback, inverted head and shoulders pattern, pull back to this daily 200 moving average in INJ. This is one of those coins that I like a little bit more than the others. It's an AI thing that obviously needs Nvidia to keep going, but this is quite a nice chart pattern, and a breakout here would be a really good look. I am drawing it with a sloping neckline here. I don't mind that for a bullish one if it slopes down, but I kind of like to usually, when this happens, look at the fib levels and for kind of better horizontal levels. And so if this is a false breakout, or if we hit trouble with INJ on the long side, 50% of this at 8.14 might be a little bit of a problem level, but bigger picture above 8.14, I think we should be on our way higher, hopefully, and new highs. I would be looking for then 9.9 or 10, and then new highs for INJ. But yes, this is probably my favorite chart pattern out there at the moment that hasn't kind of gone yet. So that's definitely top of my list. I was looking also at Rollbit, because this chart is pretty bullish also. Potentially, this is a daily chart of Rollbit. Whenever you close above the daily 50 moving average, you tend to see more upside here. Here the moving averages were the wrong way round. Again, potentially we are making a pretty nice inverted head and shoulders pattern in this chart, and 0.155 is the 50%. That's really where the neckline is for me and where we need to close and hold above. So on the long side, that's going to be your first target. Or if you're shorter term trading this, really do you need to buy pullbacks. And I just need to say this again, I don't think you should trade or gamble on Rollbit. I think their fees are extortionate, but they make money, and so trade the token instead. So 0.155 first target, and then again we should retest the highs at 0.2 if we can hold above that in Rollbit.